Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Happy holidays, everyone. It's time for another edition of Danny and Stan's Football Weekend, and a football weekend that turned interesting somehow as usual. We always get to have some fascinating things happen in the world of football. The National Football League certainly provided a lot of dramatics, and on the local college scene, we had the Missouri Tigers officially become the team that ends our local college football season by saying that they had another outbreak and they were barely at the minimums to begin with, so no bowl game for them, no Music City Bowl, period, because Iowa says they will not seek out another opponent. And so that's the college football, and we got the playoff coming up as well. And yesterday the Chiefs continue to do what they do, which for the seventh straight week is extend an NFL record of winning a one-score game. And yesterday was a game completely unexpected as the Chiefs struggled on offense against the league's, or one of the league's, worst passing defenses and maybe raised some questions. I don't know. That's what we talked to Stan Weber about, and Patrick Mahomes maybe looked as much of a struggling quarterback as we've ever seen. Doesn't happen often, but still he made the big play that got the Chiefs the victory. Be interesting to talk about that one with Stan because I love talking quarterback play with him. A couple other issues around the league that involve quarterbacks as well. It's all right here on Danny and Stan's Football Weekend. It's presented by NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com. Why don't you start the new year off by straightening out your health care and maybe saving some money with Chad and his great group at NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com. We're talking football with Stan. It's always a blast, and it comes your way next.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
It's time now to get some great assistance on healthcare with Chad Beisel from NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com. And Chad, even your business's name would indicate that you have a real aggressive way and an important way to go after some health insurance for your clients.
What I've found out in the industry is just a lot of people are really confused. They don't know what plans are good, what their plans offer, how they cover. And so I've just taken the approach of being really educated on what options are available to clients and showing them all the options that are available and making sure they understand them so they can pick and choose what options are good for them.
And one thing that's really important, of course, is access to doctors and hospitals.
Absolutely. That's become a big issue for a lot of people. Some of the plans out there are going to restrict those clients to where they can and cannot go. So if you live just outside the Kansas City metro, some of the counties outside, you may not be able to go to some of the hospitals up here in the Kansas City area. So making sure that you have a plan that's got doctors and hospitals and places you want to go is really, really important today.
Learn more by visiting NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com and let Chad help you. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing, and boy, we had to negotiate a million things in 2020, but Easton Roofing navigated them all. As 2021 rolls out, what should we expect this coming storm season?
Well, Danny, it'll be the same thing as it is every year. You know, the storms come, and you've got the guys out knocking on doors offering quote-unquote free inspections. Be wary as a homeowner. If somebody's knocking on your door, they probably need the work, and if they need the work that bad, they may be willing to do something untoward to get it. So if somebody knocks on your door, says they want to give you a free inspection, just tell them have a great day and give us a call. We'll come out for free and give you a good, honest opinion as to whether or not you need to do anything at all with your roof.
And what's the best way to get in touch with Easton Roofing?
You can always find us online at eastonroofing.com or give us a call at 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters. Firsthand, I have enjoyed the benefits of the CBD products from Canaway. My back feels better and better these days as a major part of my routine are the pain-relieving salve and the pure gold oil. And recently I had the pleasure of a treatment session using the Canaway CBD in conjunction with the Microlight 830 cold laser. The non-invasive treatment session worked wonders, and I could barely tell I was even being touched. TML 830 is the first 3B cold laser to get FDA approval, and in addition, the combination treatment with CBD is patent pending. The new smart laser is the only hands-free cold laser in the world and is used by athletic trainers, chiropractors, MDs, physical therapists, and veterinarians everywhere. You can learn more about all the great benefits from the complete line of Canaway CBD products by contacting my friend Sherry McCants at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312 to get outstanding information about Canaway.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Stan, another week for the Kansas City Chiefs where they provided more dramatics than we might have expected, and in this particular case, maybe raised more questions than some of the other games. And what we saw in some of the other games, first of all, some of them were on the road against really good opponents. This one was at home against a team that has struggled, although they're probably better than their now 4-11 record. The Atlanta Falcons have absolutely cornered the market on ways to blow football games, and they did so again in this particular game, missing the chance to grab an interception that would have pretty much iced the game, and then one of the more reliable kickers in the league somehow misses a kick that, when it left his foot, was going right down the middle. He must not have hit it very well because the wind certainly took care of it. Let's just start off with the offense, and there's a couple things at play here, I think. First of all, I think over the last 2 weeks what we are seeing is that you just can't throw anybody out there at offensive line and expect to have some success. So certainly Patrick Mahomes was under duress again, but right from the jump, he just didn't look comfortable. He made throws that were completely unexpected. So on a couple of levels. First, the offensive line. We get to see that it's more important than a lot of people give it credit for. And secondly, that even the greatest quarterbacks in the world can have a day where they just are not feeling it.
First time for Patrick Mahomes, I believe, in his career that he just didn't deliver the ball accurately, didn't look comfortable after the ball left his hand. I mean, before you couldn't say, oh, he had a look on his face that had frustration or concern or anything like that. He looked fine, and then the ball would come out, and you go, well, that missed the target by too much, and there's another incompletion. So it was his first game where he wasn't on the same page as the wide receivers. They targeted Kelsey, I think, 13 times and ended up with receiving completions of about half that many. That just doesn't happen with those two guys. The offensive line obviously does make a difference. The Falcons did a good job of rushing. But I'm not one to run down that path too hard. I think, most NFL lines, you could just mix and match them all over, and Aaron Rodgers would still be the best quarterback along with Patrick Mahomes, and these guys know how to work around it. So I think it's more of a Patrick Mahomes issue, the Kansas City Chiefs issue. He and Kelsey seem to be trying to get on the same page by just figuring things out after the play was over. In fact, one of the plays that they talk about being the best is when Kelsey ran a route that was at a whole different level than he was supposed to, as drawn up. Not that he broke any rules, but he found an opening and said, "Hey, I'm wide open." Well, that works well. But the more and more you hear about these great cases of them being on the same page, it's a great story in the playoffs when he threw the ball at Travis, had never seen him practice, 2 feet to his left, after a 45-degree angle route, 17 yards downfield, and Travis turned and caught it and said, "How did you know I was going to stop and do that?" And, "Oh, isn't that great?" Well, I think we're seeing a little bit more of that, relying on that. A throw to the end zone, did you see that well documented where Travis is patting his chest saying, "Oh, that was on me," as if he was supposed to read the open area back there. I just think the Chiefs need to get more to the route was to be run in the back corner of the end zone, throw it there, go catch it. It's not that hard. Look at Gronk and Brady. Those two guys look pretty good together on Saturday, and there isn't a lot of impromptu, I don't think, between them. They know where they're going on the route, and they just execute it with power, precision, height, and all those kind of things. So I thought the Chiefs are trying to read on the run a lot right now to get things done, and when they're off just a little bit, when everything's not in synchrony, then you're going to have balls missed, and that's what they had yesterday. I totally talked about pregame that the Falcons were going to bring it. They're not that bad. They got a legitimate quarterback. They got a wide receiver who isn't Julio Jones. He's not the lead receiver, but he has 1,100 yards receiving. He's going to want to play great. Everyone's going to be fired up to play the Chiefs, and they only get to play the Chiefs once every 4 years. So I thought Raheem Morris is a guy I know well. He was a defensive coordinator at K-State under Ron Prince. That guy's coaching to be a head coach in a National Football League again. And I think he's got his players rounded up. He's got an energy about him, and he has a chance to be the head coach for the Falcons. So I am not surprised at all about the Falcons' effort. And if there was a theme to the weekend, it's that the teams that supposedly don't have playoff possibilities are going to lay down and play. That never happens in the NFL. These guys play for the next contract. They're excited about the end of the season. It's here. Let's play great to finish off the year. So the Falcons brought that. The Chiefs are a little off, really for the first time in forever for Patrick Mahomes, but they did not look great, did not get their 20 points, but they did win the game again, seventh time by 6 points or less. And that as Andy Reid starts out his press conference and postgame, don't ever
underestimate a win.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I'm just sitting there shaking my head, which you cannot see on radio or on a podcast, but it is so hard to win, and they did it again. Yeah, it's hard to get too upset with them winning the game.
Right, and in an odd way, yes, I'm going to say that winning beats losing. I don't judge this game by the fact they won. I mean, they were going to win one of the last two games. They were going to get the number one seed, or the Steelers were going to lose. Now, the Steelers did pull out their game. I judged the game by how it was played. I mean, there were 11 ways they could have lost the game yesterday, but they didn't. They won. It shows a championship caliber team. But I don't think the fact that they won changes the way I look at the game as far as the playoffs coming up. This was the last real dress rehearsal for the Chiefs before the playoffs. And just to run out a couple of stats, that was only the fourth time that Patrick Mahomes has ever had a quarterback rating under 80. In the first 11 games of the season, he only had a quarterback rating under 100 twice. Now he's got 4 in a row. What do you think's at play as far as, this is not a statement maybe necessarily more about Mahomes. Yesterday, maybe yes. Are teams just picking on the Chiefs? Are the Chiefs taking their foot off the gas when they get ahead? What would you say is at play there?
Well, I think they're getting away from just doing the basics and have it turn into excellence.
Right.
Just good play down after down. And I'll give you an example maybe that would resonate with Chiefs fans. When Joe Montana ran the West Coast offense, there were plenty of improvised plays, off balance. Some of his biggest throws were before he was Joe Montana, the guy we know now, during the 1981 season, throwing off balance as he's rushing toward the line in an NFC championship game against the Cowboys. He made plenty of those plays. But when you think about him, you don't really think of that in your mindset. You see 5-step drop, hit the back step, and hit Jerry Rice on the run for 7 yards, or hit the tight end who just curls out. If it's a Dwight Clark, if you want to think about that play, it's throwing the curl route and hitting it. It's a precision that the West Coast offense was built on. Hit the guy in stride, and the run after the catch becomes a big deal, all of that. I don't see that as I look back and think of Chiefs plays over the last few weeks. I don't really have that in my mind's eye. I mean, maybe I'm remembering it wrong, Danny. We need to go back and watch a tape.
Although, like the winning touchdown was a play as scripted.
Yeah, perfectly done, just dogged. I mean, that was a great route, great design. They got the safety move, great read, but he didn't stand in the pocket long. I mean, it didn't matter who the offensive line was. Everyone's like, well, Patrick's nice enough to say in postgame, they gave me extra time for that route, but he sailed that thing early. He knew what he had.
Just backed up a little bit like he does.
It was precision. But just think about Tyreek Hill, the type of weapon he is, and I know he's being doubled, and he can be a decoy and everything else, but just a simple 12-yard route, bang, he catches the ball, the defender's right there on his back, tackles him, and the Chiefs have 12 yards. How many of those have you seen, Danny? I mean, you see Kelsey open over the middle all the time, and it is pretty simple, but it's a very intricate way they're doing it. They're giving him a lot of maneuverability, a lot of decision-making, and saying, you're an old quarterback. You're right in front of Patrick Mahomes. You're a big guy, and usually you're between the hashes. So we don't need to draw up the routes perfectly. Just find that open spot, and we'll hit you. I remember Paul Kaufman and Lynn Dickey were a great 1-2 punch as Paul Kaufman was a tight end, happened to be from K-State. That's how I know him so well. And Lynn Dickey was lighting it up back in the 80s throwing the ball, but he's throwing to Kaufman all the time. And Kaufman told him it was so simple. I'd go up to the linebacker, and if he'd push me, I'd just go circle around him to the middle of the linebackers, and Lynn Dickey would throw me the ball like entry pass to the post in basketball. It wasn't like you weren't guarded. It's just throw it to the opposite side of the body and an easy catch. If the guy just sat tight, I'd rub my hip up next to him and post up on the other side, and it just became so easy. Those things work. Travis Kelce can do that, but I don't see that West Coast type of precision where they call a play, zip, Sammy Watkins here on a slant route, gets 5 yards, 7, 15, whatever it is, but just that play. I'm not seeing that right now. Everything needs to be a little fun, a little I'm reading you, reading your body language, reading the defense, and I think that leads to some bad habits possibly, and really less predictability. And that's what they have right now. I think that they create the variability, not the opponent. The opponents aren't running some scheme that they can't figure out. It's just all of a sudden you see the ball. Almost every pass the Chiefs don't complete. When they show the video of the two guys, one of the two is going like, darn. If I had leaned out to the left, I would have had that. It's almost as if the play should have worked, my fault. But there's too much of that, too much reading on the run. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I do just get back to if they were going to play this week, a big subject, unlikely that Patrick Mahomes was out there. But if they were going to be out there, I would just say we're going to play however long it is, a quarter or a quarter and a half, whatever. Treat it like a third preseason game. I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying if you did that, and I would just say, Patrick, you're not holding the ball at all. It is just strictly Joe Montana time. Snap, get the ball, fire.
Right.
And just see a completion rate of 85%. Boom, boom, boom. And it's 5-yard gains, 8-yard gains, 12-yard gains.
Kind of like Matt Ryan yesterday. Yeah. Let's talk about the issue as far as the defense is concerned. Do you think that was a step forward? Was this just a day? They got some pass rush. Frank Clark looked perhaps a little more motivated than usual. I think any positive day when you haven't, generally been playing great football always is a good thing when you're heading towards the playoffs. This, again, is probably going to be the last real football game they're going to play, so the defense has to feel a little bit better about themselves.
Yeah, I think they did a nice job. They really, when the Falcons' strategy was really well laid out. Their philosophy was the one we've talked about, if you've heard us from the beginning of the year, that you got to waste time and burn clock so Patrick Mahomes doesn't have the ball as much. They had all those mindsets. They are a very good passing team and a below-average running team. So what do? They throw. What does the NFL do? They throw. Well, it's no problem. I was telling my son, who doesn't get a chance to watch pro football, I go, if you see Matt Ryan fire the ball from the pocket, you don't even need to watch the rest of the play. It's going to be a completion. He gets off balance easily and all those things. But if he can have a pocket clean enough that he fires the ball, it is very rarely inaccurate. He can throw the ball. And so when you look at the Falcons' offense, why don't they continue to pass? Well, they said against the Chiefs, we better delve into the run. We better use clock. We don't need to get 10 yards of play. Let's just gain 10 yards every 3 plays, and we'll be just fine. Patience throughout, lack of calling timeouts at the end of the ball game, those kind of things. They had a philosophy that gave them the best chance, and yet the Chiefs' defense blew it up. The Chiefs' defense said, nope, you're not going to run when you want to. You're not going to be able to control the game. And it's partly Steve Spagnuolo, because I'm telling you, the guy he will bring as much heat as he can. And in times in the game where everyone thinks, they got to play this conservatively, he had 10 guys up against the run on a 1st and 10 one time when the Falcons were showing a little life and had scored a touchdown. He just goes, you're not going to run the ball against us. We're going to turn that away. Had Tyrann Mathieu back and the other 10 guys up at the line of scrimmage going, we're attacking the run. But I thought the defense didn't show holes. They didn't. It didn't look like the Falcons were going to be able to dictate the game. They had to complete passes to continue to play. You can say that they gave some things up that allowed the Falcons a chance to win. But overall, I thought it was a very good defensive performance. I thought Chris Jones was what he needs to be. Why you paid him money is be disruptive. Don't count the sacks up. Count the disruptions up where he blows up the whole middle of the line, and that happened often. So I thought the defensive performance was very good.
I just wanted to get back to the offense real quick for one thing, because it was such – they went with the Rose Bowl dipsy-do quarterback throw on 4th and 1. Isn't that part of what maybe has led to this mindset of total improvisation. If you're going to do goofy stuff like that, I'm not saying you have to run Anthony Sherman up the middle, but my goodness, I mean, I guess you're putting something on tape, whatever. I just, are they going to really run that play in an important game?
Well, they did it in the Super Bowl last time.
But it wasn't a throw to the quarterback.
No, but they want to have diversity in what they're doing. So, no, I thought that they did a good job a couple of times of saying, we're going to hand the ball to Darrell Williams and let him power the ball up. And I've been an advocate of that, saying that he may be the guy who could stick his nose in there and be big enough. Clyde Edwards-Helaire probably doesn't have quite the girth it seems like to just smash through and get yardage. And Le'Veon Bell doesn't do that very much. He's going to make you hold your breath like it's a movie scene. Even if he gains 10 yards on a 4th and 1, he's going to take a look and analyze and get into an athletic position rather than continue to run straight ahead. But I thought Darrell Williams really hit the hole a couple of times. So I was very surprised they went back to the cutesy stuff. That's what they've been doing in the red zone too much.
They're the worst team. They're the worst team in the NFL in the red zone.
I think they're dancing around.
Or their defense is. That's wrong. Their defense is the worst. Sorry. No,
but I think the Chiefs are dancing around the trade-offs that you have in life, but in football as well. There's always trade-offs. And right now, what would you risk to change a team that has uber confidence?
Right.
So if things go poorly, if the ball bounces the other way, which it rarely does for Patrick Mahomes. I mean, in this game, we just seen almost kind of the luck run out as the linebacker picked the ball off, but then it popped back when the cornerback should have had an interception, really a kind of easy interception. By the time that he pulled it toward his chest, 90% chance that they yanked that thing in, and then it somehow falls out, and Tyreek Hill almost grabbed it. So Andy Reid and coaches dream of creating a confidence level that says we're going to win no matter what. You get down by a bunch last year in the playoffs, no problem. Do you believe in your team? Do you think they're going to make plays? Hey, offense, do you think that Tyrann Mathieu and the defense can make plays to win? And they're naive enough to go, yeah, absolutely. And obviously everyone's saying it about Patrick Mahomes. He'll drive the ball down the field. And you go, gosh, you do not want to rely on being behind and having to drive the ball down the field like they did against the Falcons. But guess what? It's great that everyone on the sideline says it's going to work. If Butker has to kick a 42-yard field goal, do you think that they're nervous about it? I mean, the Falcons have the Pro Bowl kicker, and I bet they were nervous over there, like, something bad's going to happen. But when the Chiefs had Butker go out there, everyone on the team's like, he'll make it.
Right.
So my point is that when you dream of having that concept, you got to be very careful to try to break their confidence. And when they have that level of confidence, they may have a lack of sense of urgency during the game because it's all going to work out. And then Andy's like, let's keep them engaged. Let's have some fun.
Right.
And let's let our players make plays. They got all these things. What's neat is Andy Reid is old school enough that he is really saying all the right things. You got to take it one game at a time. You got to value victories in the National Football League, all those things. But I think when he's working with these guys, he's saying, I'm not going to break their confidence. I'm going to have a little looseness, have fun, all those things, which, leads me to the question of the week before you ask it, Danny, because, we maybe get busy on other things. The question of the week is, do you set your main starters for this game? And I would have been very much on the bubble, very indecisive about this. I already had talked about this some before last week's game, predicting that they'd beat Atlanta and going, it scares me to not try this week and then sit out another week and then try to come back in the playoffs 3 weeks later. To me, Andy Reid and others might say you got to be careful about taking your foot off the gas, getting outside of your rhythm of football. But after that performance, Danny, it's the easiest answer ever. Not only because of the injury issues and things of being able to stay away from injuries, like when Travis Kelce walked off the field, you're like, why did he even try against the Falcons? Forget all of that. Offensive line problems, getting Patrick Mahomes hurt. I would say I think they're done. I think that they've rode along with Andy the best they could. They tried to value what their leader said, that you've got to respect every game, every opponent, play the regular season as if there is no playoffs, play it in sequence, earn your right to be in the playoffs when you really got a team that's sitting all there going, the only thing that's going to get us excited is a team that thinks they're as good as us and pisses us off. Check off Buffalo and Baltimore and, that kind of thing. And the playoffs.
Right.
And right now I just think they're done. I mean, they did
not.
So
you don't think they're going to get anything out of playing if they did?
Right.
They wouldn't take it seriously
They're
enough.
done with – they don't – in my opinion, it's no disrespect to Andy, but he has really worked them for 14 weeks plus a bye. He's had their focus for 15 weeks, and they've done their work.
Right.
And you can talk about the last 5 or 6 or 7 games, right, and try to bunch them all together. But I really think either two things popped in my mind. One of two. One is flat-out Christmas week. Flat-out Christmas week. You saw
right.
Hey, I don't even do social media, and I saw pictures of Patrick Mahomes dressed in his pajamas or whatever it was, right? I mean, even I saw that. So it was Christmas. So maybe they weren't locked in.
Right.
Or I'm going to lean toward it's easy for me to say nothing to be gained. That last performance against Atlanta or whatever they miss out on doing this week will have no ramifications for how they come back in the playoffs. It's done. They're ready for the reset button. They're ready to hear Andy come in with that concern. The real concern in athletes and coaches is when you're scared of losing, when it's real.
Right.
When you lose, it's over, and you win, you move on. That creates a respect. And right now, there's no way he can say with a straight face that if they lost to the Falcons, it's that big a deal. I mean,
right.
Other than respect the game.
Right.
All that, I just don't think it didn't resonate. Christmas probably factored it in. But right now I'm saying we're done. Let's don't play that last regular season game. And I was completely on the fence, and I thought I'd be on the fence talking to you today, Danny, but I'm not. After watching them play the Falcons, they won again. They did what they need to. But there's no hey, let's get better. Let's get back in the rhythm. What they need to do is look over and go, hey, you know who we're playing the next game? Cleveland or Tennessee or the Colts, someone who go, watch the tape. We don't play well, we're out of the playoffs. That's the energy they need, I think.
Did Aaron Rodgers, given his performance, and Patrick Mahomes the last couple of weeks, did Aaron Rodgers just win the MVP?
Probably so. Sunday Night Football is a great stage, man. It's great when it's a lot of confirmation when Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth both agree. I think I'm leaning toward Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot of people, even NFL players, who've flipped on the TV, voters around the nation, and I think they vote quickly. I don't think this is an award, I may be wrong. It doesn't seem like it's February 7th when they name the NFL Player of the Year.
No.
It seems more like it's about time for them to do that. They've already named the All-Pro team, even though they're not going to play a Pro Bowl. Not the All-Pro. The Pro Bowl roster has been named for bonus purposes and things like that. They're not going to play the game. So it seems like this stuff happens pretty quickly. And in that case, I think the 15th game, let's say, kind of almost is all there is to go off of. I don't think we spend a lot of time watching the 16th game. And if the Chiefs sit out.
Right.
But, if Aaron throws 3 interceptions and the Bears win by 17 points, then it's still live. It's very, very close. But I think if you would have felt comfortable in Kansas City, here we've got a biased audience here, biased beings, us saying it, we probably would have had Patrick Mahomes just slightly above Aaron Rodgers for the last, month or so, last 3 weeks.
Right. I think at 2 weeks ago, he had it. And I think
you would
probably
say with a straight
lost
face, even though it was a battle.
Right.
And around the country, it's probably a little closer battle than we think. But we had Patrick Mahomes. Now, even here, you're going, I could see where Aaron Rodgers might have just passed him up because they may be the best team in the NFC. And you look around and say, what is he doing wrong? Aaron Rodgers, unbelievable. These two guys have put on a show this year.
Yeah.
To just bury Russell Wilson, to make it seem like it was a joke that he was the best. He had it in week 8, right?
Right.
9, 10. I mean, for a long time.
Yeah, at least through
Russ
6-7 weeks for
was
sure.
working, and now he isn't even in a sentence with these two guys. So what a performance by Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, and if they go to the Super Bowl.
That would be something.
And have them meet for the Super Bowl for the first time since Super Bowl I. And these two towns, that kind of lovable teams, it would be amazing.
One more pro football thing. I think this is fascinating. First of all, have you ever in your life seen a more incredible throw than what Ryan Fitzpatrick threw to set up the game-winning field goal while a guy was ripping his head off?
Yeah, that was well. We seen Patrick Mahomes throws, so but just incredible that he could not see. He had to adjust his body to launch that at the right angle. He knew where he was going to throw and all of that. That's no problem. It's just all of a sudden he can't see anything, and your head's twisting, and you still, I totally can understand how you separate your head like some unique animal, that says, "Oh, I don't have my foot anymore. I'm fine." You can just keep concentrating on your shoulder and your arm and throw that ball. But he just launched it at the perfect spin rate and everything else while his head's being torn off. And man, the NFL put on another show. That was incredible
to win the game.
Everything that us fans could get our arms around, because all the decision making and stuff was there. Like, should you have him in as a quarterback at all? There's all kinds of opinions from Dolphins fans and others around the country. Why didn't you put him in earlier? Why was he in at all? All those things. And then the Raiders had all those decisions down by the goal line, what they were going to do. We can all play those out. We don't have to know the way you can call a play. We don't have to be Andy Reid saying, "Oh, when I see that Eagle Week and that fire zone blitz, we got to go to this play." No, this is just simple strategy. And you just shake your head and go, how dumb can you be, Raiders? And
I think they did the right thing. They left them 19 seconds. I mean, I think they did the right thing, but that's me,
Well, I just think on third down, you run it into the end zone.
Well, I do agree with that.
You can run out the clock. I'm totally cool with that. But I don't think you just kick a field goal, because when a field goal can beat you, it takes one pass interference call in the NFL.
Yeah, I wouldn't have taken a knee, but I didn't mind him kicking the field goal. I'll say that. But anyway.
But just how about the player grabbing the face mask? Guaranteed.
I want to ask
15
you this.
Yards.
How can you
do that?
I played football through junior high. Didn't play much football, so this is. How do you ever get called for a blatant face mask? All right, I understand you're trying to tackle the guy. Feel plastic, let go. I mean, this guy latched on and kept on. What was it? What? Sometimes guys on the football field, you just don't understand. I understand seeing the play over again. I heard it on the radio originally, how the guy for the Falcons intercepted the pass instead of knocking it down. All right, it was a contested ball. I'm sure he figured, if I just bat it, Mahomes might catch it. Okay, I see that. But there are so many times when a guy just absolutely should just knock the ball down, but maybe he's got a bonus. I have no idea. But for the life of me, that play, grabbing the face mask, holding on, and then that might have been the dumbest football play I've ever seen.
It's amazing. You just cannot do it. But when the coaches say to the players, if I could try to get you into that mindset, Danny, they say take each play one at a time. It is actually easier to do for the athletes than you think. It seems like the coaches, when they say that, are really trying to dig deep into the player's being and change from, hey, don't worry about the score in the game and all that, just play this play. Really, it's not that hard. I'm telling you, each play, the one that ends up being a 60-yard big play and the one that ends up being a no gain, have both the same level of anticipation before the play. You have no idea when that play is going to occur. And when you play the play, you rarely think this is a big deal. You're just taught to just do something, and you do it. And I think if you really get into it, you're almost in a daze when you're playing the game. You don't know if it's the third quarter or the fourth quarter. And that's what makes it so crazy, is all the game situation things that we think about. I'm telling you, Danny, out of the 22 players on the field, you'll be lucky if 4 of them even know that. I mean, they just are playing, and they are sweating, and they're tired,
right?
And their toe hurt, and oh crap, I can't swallow, or their distraction level and the crap that's going on, and how tired they are, and when you play football, a lot of times, like, do you hear the crowd? I can tell you a lot of times, Danny, no. You don't. Can you hear the quarterback because the crowd's too loud? Well, no. The left tackle can't hear the quarterback when the crowd's roaring. They get that. But I don't know if it makes sense. They don't, when they're playing the plays and they're in the game, I don't think that they're game aware very much at all.
Right.
Because that would be the easiest time ever to say, don't put your hands above the shoulders for any purpose whatsoever.
Right.
What are you doing? What are you reaching for? I mean, you might tap him on the head in the NFL and they call a 15-yard cheap penalty.
Right.
So it was one of the dumbest. But if we could be God and track, and this may happen someday, they'll put a brain scan on and say, what was that guy thinking about? And he's just thinking, I got to get past this big guy in front of me, and I got to go after the quarterback, and I've been doing this, and I got to do it again, and I got to do it again. And, hey, do you realize it's 3rd and 3 and it's a big play? No, I don't realize that.
Right. And finally, an interesting, I don't know how in the world, and he's probably going to be NFL Coach of the Year, I think, Brian Flores. But how do you start Tua in a game that you have to win instead of Fitzpatrick, who just led you to the victory that you had to have?
Well, let's just go through that real quick because I've been watching Miami, and when they made this decision to go to Tua, Ryan Fitzpatrick had turned the Dolphins season around and was playing at a high level. And plenty of people said he'll make the interceptions, just wait. The averages will play out. You got to get away from him. Okay. Tua protects the football. We saw the best of Tua against the Chiefs. Accurate thrower, protects the football, and all those things. But as the game was unfolding against the Raiders, I was going, they got to put Fitzpatrick in if they want to win this thing. I mean, what a difference it would make for the Raiders. Trying to beat Tua is so much easier, I think, than beating Fitzpatrick. But they're talking about long-term development and all that. So let's just say we're going to accept it for a second and then open our minds up to can this work? And Danny, it's going to be so easy to engage you in conversation about this because you are the right age. It has been done before, and it works. Darryl LaMonica was the starting quarterback for the Oakland Raiders when they were a power. Chiefs and Raiders were a power. They won all the time. He was a starter, no doubt it. But there was no time that you wouldn't call in a reliever Blanda and come in and go win the game. Because Blanda was a superstar quarterback for the Houston Oilers.
When he was young. He was in his 40s at this point.
Yeah, he's an old guy now, but he could light it up. And he was not nervous. He gave confidence to the team, and he would throw the ball, where it needed to be thrown with the game on the line. Kind of a little bit of a risk taker. So George Blanda came in and won a number of games, not only with kicking, but won a number of games for the Raiders. And the next week, no one asked, would George Blanda be the starting quarterback? No, he is just the hot old guy to come off the bench. And Fitzpatrick plays that role perfectly. So I think you just do that. I have no problem with Tua starting. If the game unfolds and he has control of the game and the Dolphins defense plays great and he doesn't turn it over, that is a formula to win. But I think they're going to go to Fitzpatrick earlier.
Right.
And he is the quarterback most likely to give him over the hump.
I guess when I'm looking at the, and we've gone on and on about pro football because there's not much college football to talk about. But if I was going to say why I would do it, it's just for that reason. Tua doesn't turn the ball over. Fitzpatrick does. I mean, and when he comes in relief, it doesn't matter if he turns it over, really, because he's got to make plays. Because when he comes in, it's because they're losing and they need a spark. So I guess that would be the justification.
I haven't heard Flores say it, but to me, if he's going that direction, I'm totally comfortable with it. Sitting down Fitzpatrick and just saying we're going to wait it out with a new guy was a dumb thing. In fact, I was not in favor of Tua being a starter. They had an off week, right? That's when they gave him an extra week of preparation. I did not agree with it. I said ride Fitzpatrick the rest of the season because he's taking you to a good place and then hand it off to Tua at the beginning of next year or whenever. But I could live with it. I immediately thought of the Raiders. If you were willing to put Fitzpatrick in, and he did, and he kept Tua as the starter, he's proven this already, and those two guys are getting along. I think Fitzpatrick's kind of just chuckling, going, you're making a mistake, but I'll go win the game for you. He loves having fun. And how about him being able to be the gunslinger that he's going to be on the first play of the game? He's encouraged to do it at the end of the game. And he wants to make the playoffs. He's never made the playoffs.
Right.
So I have no problem with it. But I think
you'd pull the trigger fast, though.
Yes. If the Chiefs play the Dolphins in the first playoff game, every down Tua plays is a bonus to the Chiefs, giving them a greater chance of winning. I do not want to see Fitzpatrick on down one against the Chiefs because that guy might put up 350 yards, no interceptions, and play lights out. Is it in his being? Oh, yeah, he might do it. It's Tua, no chance.
Right.
No chance. He's going to complete 3rd and 6. He might complete a 7-yard throw, but he doesn't move well in the pocket. His leg, he just doesn't look fast.
Right, he's hurt.
I have no idea yet where Tua's upside is going to be, but for this 2020 season, their chances of winning, every down he plays is more like the Raiders game, in my opinion. And as soon as Fitzpatrick came in, I think the Dolphins are going to win. They almost didn't,
right?
Because things went well for the Raiders,
right.
But I truly thought he'll go win the ball game.
We'll talk a little college football, a real little, coming up next with Stan Weber. That was great. Great stuff on pro football with Stan Weber, as always. Got a little bit of college to talk about to wrap things up, coming up next.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
It's time to visit once again with Dr. Brad Woodle of Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. And Dr. Brad, your group has reached a significant milestone in receiving a prestigious award.
Danny, we've been honored for the 10th year in a row to receive the 5-Star Service Award from Integrity Doctors. And what this means is that all of our offices throughout Kansas City have made sure to give people excellent chiropractic and acupuncture care, be on time, and do a very complete and thorough job, and have great responses back from patients.
I know firsthand because I was just treated, for instance, today by you. You have a wide range of fantastic services.
Absolutely. Chiropractic, acupuncture, physiotherapies, rehab, anything that you need to keep you well in bones, muscles, joints, and nerves.
And I can't say how much it's benefited me in the time I've coming here. Upwards of 2 years, my back has improved 100%. And you can have that same kind of treatment too. For more information and your chance for a healthier way of life, visit asfca.com/Danny today.
Hi, everybody. This is Matt Llewellyn from 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. I just want to thank everybody for supporting local restaurants during this time of uncertainty. 23rd Street Brewery is now open until this pandemic is over. And right now, more than anything, local restaurants need your help and support. Come on out and see us. 23rd Street Brewery is open now from 11:30 till 9 o'clock for dine-in and carry-out. Whatever we can do to help you out, maybe with your catering needs, too. I appreciate all the support, and thank you for continuing to shop local.
I'm here with Tim Emerson, the owner of Emerson & Company. And Tim, give us an idea of the range of services that you provide from Emerson & Company.
At Emerson & Company, we do credit card processing, payroll services. We do bookkeeping, merchant accounts like point-of-sale systems.
What would you say differentiates you from other companies in the field, and what makes you special?
I think what makes us unique is that we're a small local business making regional decisions on companies. We create a profile for the business and then put it out to our different vendors in a very competitive environment and tailor those needs to the specific business, which usually ends up in a great fit or great result for the company.
And, of course, the idea is to save money, right?
Save money, and actually sometimes I'm surprised where actually a solution that may cost a little bit more ultimately does save money, but we're not conditioned to think like that sometimes.
Emerson & Company. Check them out at emerson-co.com or call them at 816-360-9092. Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from wreckexpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident from David Cowan. Visit wreckexpert.com and learn more. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Not a whole lot of college football to talk about. The Missouri Tigers made news for the fact that they will not be playing college football. They were borderline, they barely had the amount of players, and it seems like probably they did 8 rounds of testing since their last game. Probably seems like as the season was winding down, the guard was being dropped by players. That's just anecdotal, but I guess that would be the case. We saw coaching staff. Anyway, so they're not going to play, which is a shame. They end up at 5-5. So just like in the K-State case, they don't get a chance to put the big stamp on the end of their season. That would have been a fun game. The border rivals, basically, Missouri and Iowa, going at it, but they don't get to play.
When we did a podcast last week, I said when we talked about Missouri's last game that, boy, the last 6 quarters really seem a lot like what K-State's last 6 quarters were, and it's not the way you want to remember the season. And I was really happy for Mizzou that they were going to get a chance to go on and play a bowl game and really remind us not only of the positiveness which occurred in the year, it did, a 5-5 season and beating LSU and all the things that Missouri did for the whole year. Forget what order it came in. Just the whole year made you feel really good. But for fans, we are so much, what have you done for us lately? That's not the memory most of us have. You don't say, hey, what do you think of the Tigers' 2020 season? You don't start with, man, that win against LSU will be all time. I mean, how great is that? I think you're going to say, did you see him against Mississippi State just get moved up and down the field on? And K-State gave up 69 points to Texas. Same thing. So I thought, hey, congratulations, Missouri. You're going to get a chance to change the mindset and really finish off the year with a bowl. Now that the game has been canceled with almost exactly the same scenario where you had some positive tests, which created an issue, but the county came in and said, we are in your business now, and we're saying you got to shut down for a little bit. Well, when the county comes in, they don't care about bowl season or practice and preparation and travel. It's more like, when you put us on pause, how long are we paused for? What do we got to do to show you? And when a decision goes out of your hands, then suddenly you got to throw up your arms and going, this is not good anyway. And now the county's involved. We got too many decision makers. Let's be safe. Both scenarios were so close, except for Missouri has an opponent, a bowl game, and I really feel bad for Iowa. I really feel bad for Iowa not having an opponent to play because they didn't. Well, they had their moments. It just happened a little bit earlier than Missouri's.
Right.
But they cycled through and were ready to play. So, no, when you say any correlation between K-State and Missouri, I went there last podcast, Danny, and now I finish off shaking my head going, do we have a broken record? Do people remember what records are? We had a broken record. It sounds exactly like the K-State situation. Right. A season very worth patting your back on and saying thank you for getting through it, and nice job, and some nice wins, some real positives, development of new guys. Deuce Vaughn at K-State. Aren't you glad you know about Deuce Vaughn? Bazelak is a quarterback at Missouri. Danny, aren't you glad you know about him? And yet, the way it ended, and no bowl game, is eerily the same and leaves you with, like, the question marks. I guess some great writers write stories and then they leave it out there hanging.
Right.
Does it feel a little bit like that? Like,
yep.
Conclude yourself. What happened to the main character?
Let's talk about this week's playoffs. I don't think there's a lot of intrigue here, but you never know. It's football. Alabama's a 3-touchdown favorite against Notre Dame. I don't think I give them a prayer in that game. Anything in Ohio State and Clemson? Or do you think that Notre Dame might put up a fight?
Well, we act as if the Florida game was a 40-0 blowout by Alabama and a coronation that they are so dominant that no one can play with Bama, and they do have 2 of the 4 finalists for the Heisman Trophy, and there could have been another one with the running back. So I'm not trying to downgrade Alabama, but the Florida game was exciting.
Right.
I don't know if you had a chance to watch it, but that was not a 40-0 game. So I don't know where we get this conclusion that it's just going to be the easiest run ever for Alabama. Are they going to get mad because it's the playoffs and want to show somebody? I don't know. Sure, I give Alabama the position of being a favorite, but Notre Dame's been through some really good preparation games. They finally had the hype around their program. The North Carolina game, there was plenty of hype before that game. They won the Clemson game with a ton of hype. One of the highest rated, probably in the last 10 years, the highest rated Notre Dame game on NBC was the Clemson game. They won. And then the ACC championship also had a lot of hype. So they've been used to playing against the highest level opponents. So I think Notre Dame is way more mentally prepared than they were when they played Clemson in the semis and got wiped out a couple years ago. So I think Notre Dame will be a more representative football team. I think their quarterback's more ready to play, but sure, I'll give Alabama the advantage. Should they win by double digits? Yes, but I think it's worth watching. The other game's totally intriguing because Ohio State has been given the best bulletin board material in the history of mankind. The final poll for the coaches was allowed to be seen, and Dabo Swinney, the head coach at Clemson, final position of Ohio State is number 11 in his personal poll. Number 11. Not number 5, Danny, number 6, because he said they shouldn't be in the college football playoff. He ranked them the 11th in the country, and they're his opponent. So, wow. If Ohio State and Justin Fields and Coach Day have all this capability that everyone's been talking about, if they can unleash, they got plenty of motivation to go, Clemson does not respect us. And boy, Ohio State doesn't get that very often, okay? All they get is the love of the Big Ten, and they're always the favorite. They truly got to be the underdog. So that might spark something. I would expect the game to be close. It should be highly competitive. I let my personal bias get in this way too much. I can't think straight right now, Danny, so I apologize. I want Clemson to wax those guys off the field.
Agreed.
And that is just the opposite of what I normally would root for. In a neutral game like that, I'm going, whoever's behind, Danny and I do this in golf tournaments. Whoever's in third and second place, we root for them, and whoever's in first, we root against them. We want them to bogey. And then if they bogey twice, then we start rooting for them, right? Don't we root for good finishes?
I want a good finish. I don't want to see Dustin Johnson win the Masters by 6 shots.
And these games are on New Year's Day, kind of when they should be, right? This is awesome. It's going to be 8:30 at night, Danny, on New Year's Day, and me more than anybody in the world would be rooting for whoever's behind to score the next score and to make it close because I don't care about Ohio State and Clemson. But this year, I don't think Ohio State deserved to be in the college football playoff because of playing 6 games and all the maneuvering they did and everything else. I hope Clemson just wipes them out. So I'm like Alabama Notre Dame. Come on, Clemson, win by 14 or 17 or 30. But it's going to be really weird if the fourth quarter is really close. Am I going to shift back into my normal football mode and just enjoy the heck out of it and go, I don't care who wins, let's go? Or am I still going to be sitting there going, I hope Ohio State still loses by 3 touchdowns? So I'm going to give Clemson the benefit of the doubt and say that they are used to this situation right now. I do think they're a better team than Ohio State. Ohio State keeps hoping things are going to turn around, and rarely does that work in football. Rarely do you look at the accumulation of the talents you have and say that's enough to get the results you want. That's not what football is about, and that's what Ohio State is. Unproven this year that they got a good football team, just all hype. And so I think Clemson's going to show them its hype. I think Alabama's going to show Notre Dame it's a whole nother level. So I expect both of them to be, 15-point winners or so.
Stan Weber, always insightful, always fun, and you get a dose of it each and every week. And then we'll prepare next week to talk about what maybe will be a competitive national championship game. We'll have to wait and see. All kinds of good stuff, once again with Stan.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
NoNonsenseHealthcareNinja.com, specializing in expert healthcare guidance and assistance for you.